What up, y'all? Back again. Today, I wanted to talk to you. It's kind of like a jump off from yesterday's podcast. It's kind of about, you are dealing with a generational curse, okay? And dealing with the generational curse is kind of like you're put under a curse and through a spell based on your genealogy and your what is in the history of your genealogy's sin and sinfulness and ways that they have opened doors, and they open doors and they have cursed the future generations. Like I said, in the word, it talks about from the first, second, third, down to the fourth generation, as it would say, and that even those children would hate God and wouldn't even know why they hate him. I speculate that it's probably because they've been put under a curse, put under a spell, based on what their back past genealogy did that was evil and opened doors to evil demonic entities to have control, power in and around their life, unbeknownst to them, right? And control over them in certain situations. And if they never woke up to the biblical narrative and understanding that it is truthful, and or they did not have the innate goodness in their heart, their purity in their heart, meaning not that they're pure because we're born into sin, but where the purity that I'm talking about is that you didn't have a nature to have revenge and want to get revenge on people and things like that, and to be jealous and envious. Some of those things, I could honestly say I had pieces of when I was a child, but when I actually did get saved, those were things that fell off of me. And so I guess what I'm saying is those people, they would then become haters of God, and people like the narcissist, they would turn and hate God over these situations. These generational curses, they did not block them off completely, and this is what people like to suggest sometimes. Now, God's a fair God, and so I always look for his fairness because I know it's always there, okay? Because anything that I've been through that was evil towards me or that I had to reap, chances are I could find a reason for it. Somewhere in my history that I did stupid stuff, and, I was probably, my heart, wasn't in the right spot, or, I was not as empathetic at that point in time. And so, things change in your life in areas that are a lot of times a lot of times when we're younger and we're black sheeps, we deal with a lot of peer pressure. Then that's what gets us in trouble, because we get into trouble through peer pressure a lot of times because we want to fit in, and we're not fitting in anywhere. Okay, nobody talks about this stuff. I'm giving you good stuff. This is, like people say, the download. All right, well, this is your download for today. I hate hearing that, but it's like, it's kind of when things kind of come to you, new fresh stuff, and this is fresh, y'all. But if you know the word, you know the Lord, and you're kind of sensitive to it, you'll get this. But a lot of times, they say the black sheeps don't fit in. It's true. We never fitted in, and then when you did, listen. So you never fit it in because a lot of times nobody treated you right when you were a child, right? So you had hand-me-down clothes, you didn't have food to eat, you were, a lot of stuff that people had, man. A lot of people had nice threads and nice shoes, and they had money, man, and they looked good, and their parents made sure they looked good. The black sheeps, that was not the case. But you know what it did was it a lot of times made us warriors. Man, I know I'm a warrior, and I know I'm a warrior because I went through hard battles, damn it. and you know, and it was an everyday thing. People don't get that, man. I don't know what y'all went through, but I know that when I was growing up, I went through stuff that what I would consider today a difficult battle. That was something that I went through on a daily basis. I didn't even know any better. And I think a lot of black sheeps went that route because that is how this stuff works. A lot of times you've been beat down, broke down, and you're being sidetracked by everybody in your family. And then what happens is you're on that narc energy, so then you get narc friends, because that's all you got. You can't hang out with good people, man. Good people don't come your way when you come out of a narc family. You get stuck hanging out with narc people. Low, you know, like a lot of people that end up running the streets, man, when you're a child, and you don't even like it. But you have nothing else, man, because you gotta have, I mean, when you're a child, man, if you ain't looking good and you ain't wearing some hot new clothes and your parents ain't, you know, doing you right, then you're stuck when it comes to this kind of stuff. So y'all know this, but it turns into peer pressure. Peer pressure turns into you like doing things that you know you shouldn't be doing, because you know you're drinking younger and you're doing things like, you know, doing other things. All right, I'm not gonna name, but I'm saying like there's a lot of things you end up doing out of peer pressure, and then when you get older, it's like, you know, you can get away from a lot of that stuff. If you're the black sheep, you're going to kind of drift away from that because you never wanted that to begin with. That was survival. And what was also survival was, you know, well, I don't know about y'all, but for me, I walk down a lot of those, some of those in small, minute details of that narcissistic nature. I mean, at least because you have to, you kind of, for me, it was a survival mechanism, but it wasn't something that totally consumed me, because I don't like fake. But when you're in a narcissistic family, to avoid situations where you're going to get dealt with, you're going to be forced to act fake if you have any kind of intuition, and it just is what it is. I mean, coming out of the narcissistic family as a non-narcissistic child, you have to play their game until you can get away from the game. But it does leave you with hardships that you have to deal with, and things that, some funks that you got to get out of. So I understand the narcissist, but I don't understand when I understand the construct before it becomes demonic. How about that? But what I'm saying, what my main point was you're never legit until you wake up and break that curse. And that's when you actually, for the first time in your whole life, you broke that chain. Hey, y'all should be clapping in the background right now, because this is what your life was about for a long time. This is not what your life's all about. Heck no. Hell no. Your life has just begun. But this is a major, major battle that's been won when you wake up to narcissism and you grew up in this family tree. Because what you did is, this is the final breaking of the curse. See, the waking up to narcissism is you breaking the curse. I don't know how much you guys understand that, but that is deep. And it's all kind of coming to me. I mean, I guess I probably knew it unconsciously and stuff, and you know, you forget things and stuff, but this is true. So you're walking under a curse of seduction, of control, and this is all from the enemy. So the seduction of the enemy, from the enemy, control of the enemy, from the enemy, and everything. And you could be a saved individual, because I am. And so, you know, before, but you have to put that, God still makes you put that work in, or what does he say? Obedience is better than sacrifice. And a lot of times we've been taught down the path of sacrificing rather than being obedient, because we grew up in a backwards home. And in a backwards home, I always say, right, we always talk about how the narcissist is opposite of humanity and of true humanity that's trying to be good, and then also they're opposite of God, and so that's Satan. So what? But so that's. But when you get into the complete opposite, when you start thinking like that, there's a point to where. So there's the thing: the narcissist could have went the route of you. I talked about this yesterday, but they chose evil. They chose evil because, in a lot of ways, it was out of power and control, but it was out of all of that stuff. All of that stuff, it becomes you. Jealousy becomes you. Greed becomes you. Hoarding becomes you. These are things that these are the constructs that you start coming off of. Thieving and stealing becomes you, because you do get caught up. Well, you're grown up in a system of thinking of a nature of lack and a nature of scheming. If you're not keen to this, and if you keep going down that road, then it leads to a construct that regular humanity, this is where it turns. When you go down a construct of understanding what the narcissists come out of, and if you grow up in it, you can go down the road long enough to where you understand why they had masks. Because, I put on a mask when I had two sets of friends. I had Christian friends and non-Christian friends. I had street friends, regular friends. I had Christian friends, so you got to understand, this doesn't make you a narcissist, but you have to walk down a lot of these narcissistic paths when you grow up in a narcissistic family, especially if it's heavy. And you're going to get, if you're going to get in trouble for everything you do, then you're going to become covert. It's just natural, but it doesn't mean you like it. You hate it if you're a chosen one. You hate it, but you're forced to operate in this narrative for a time until you can get the hell out of there. And what happens with the narcissist is they begin to, that's all they know. And I can see that because I remember as a teen waking up to some of this, that you start to go down the pathway of seeing that you're starting to believe it, and then you're like, man, this is cheap, man. I never liked being fake, and so you start to reverse that. And for me, it led to me getting saved at the age of right after I turned 20. And that changed my life, man, where all that stuff started to break off, one chain after another, meaning each chain is a curse. The curse of jealousy, the curse of greed, the curse of, all of that. Some of them will fall off. That's the thing. Some strongholds fall off right away. And then some you might, have to deal with for years if you don't put them away. Because then they become stronger in your life. And so it's just that's just how it worked for me, and I think it works for a lot of black sheeps. But the thing where it turns and changes is where that construct that is able to be understood by a normal human being with a normal mind and a normal sense and somebody of loving and kindness, it starts to get, and then it becomes possession. meaning that before you know it, now it is just, that's all you know. You turn. It's not like you can just come back, because now you now you believe it. And when you believe it and that's all you know, and then it starts to, then when it takes hold of you, that's where you get that inside out nature. That inside out nature is where humanity now cannot even understand you. And that's where you know that they're demon possessed. So if you can still understand them and they're not completely lying to you all the time and stuff like that, when you get the pathological lying, the cheating, the backwards thinking, you know, all of that is demonic possession. Now, when you get into the little bits and pieces of that, you know, you're using for survival, then you're not dealing with a possession. You're dealing with a narcissistic trait, nature, that you are using for survival until you can get away. I hope that makes sense, and I hope this isn't too long, but this is real, y'all, and this is how I'm giving you things that I experienced in my personal life as a non-narcissist that was forced to have to operate under narcissistic traded ideals and ideas, even though I hated it for a time, just as survival till I could get away. And thank God for his grace that me, who always and never doubted God and never wanted to hurt anybody and use anybody and wanted everybody to prosper as well as me, he had grace on me and gave me his salvation. But unfortunately, it's not for everybody. And some, it's for them to get saved but still not wake up. And that's unfortunate for them. And that's because they have lack of motivation to understand and to have that truth in their heart, that absolute truth. They end up, those are the people that end up hearing the pastor on a big stage, and then you read the Bible and the Bible says one thing, but they would rather say that they believe the pastor on the big stage instead of the Bible. That's that type of empath. But that's not a chosen empath. That's just my opinion, because I've seen that in and around my life from unwoken empaths, and that's what they are. They're more enablers. They can get saved, but they're going to get saved and drained, and they're going to end up still being enablers to the demonic entity until they die, which makes them somewhat just as destructible, because it's like when you're enabling a narcissist, it's like enabling a drug dealer that's destroying everybody in the streets with the drugs, and you're paying all the bills to keep the lights on and pay the rent to keep the drug dealer safe and warm at night, and you're not telling anybody, but you backing them up. When you backing up Satan, you know, you're kind of playing a part in the destruction. Then you start when you backing up a narcissist, you're gonna have to start backing them up in lies, and that becomes deceit. Anyway, that's all I want to say for today. I hope that helps somebody. I love y'all, and until next time, soldier up, y'all. Peace. We out.